So let's talk about it. Part 3. There's other parts. There's a part 1 and part 2. Part 3. Malabsorption hypoglycemia. Well, let's put you up to date. Before I even get into the details, I would like to tell you, please, 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 be your own advocate. What does that mean? I get it. I get it when we go to the doctor. The doctor tells us things, right? I get it. I get it that we are told things. And we accept some of those answers and we accept defeat, or we accept and surrender and say we don't want to fight. And at the point I got there, I was like, I'm tired of fighting. I'm literally tired of fighting. But I say, who else is going to fight for you? Who else is going to fight for you? You know your body, you know your symptoms, you know what you're dealing with at home. And sometimes when you go to the doctor, like, I get it. It's like they don't know. They don't know what direction to go to. Keep fighting. One says no, go to another. Another says no, go to another. You are the only person you have to fight for yourself. You are the only person you have to fight for yourself. And I'm going to also say this, midlife crisis, especially to women, I say this and I stress this again, especially to women. The science behind us is so limited. It's crazy that I'm actually going through perimenopause and all of this stuff in my 40s, and the information is like lacking. That's ridiculous. Science and medicine has been around for how long? Healthcare and science needs a facelift, and we need to be included. I understand that we are a complex being, but if we do not know ourselves, how can science know us? I'm going to stress this again. If we do not know ourselves, how can science know us? Science can't tell you about you. Only you can tell science about you. Okay? You are the science. You are the science. All right, I'm going to do a recap. I'm going to go all the way back. In April of 2024, I had a colonoscopy done. And I've been getting those since my 20s because history. And also an upper GI. So I had a colonoscopy done. They took out 3 cancerous polyps, and I was also diagnosed with diverticulum. In November of 2024, I was diagnosed with diverticulitis. I got my first case of diverticulitis, my first and only thus far, knock on wood. Because, baby, that is the worst pain ever. I will have 20 kids with no epidural before I ever get diverticulitis again. And when my GI told me if I get it again within a year, they're going to section me because it slows down your colon, it is the worst damn pain I've ever experienced in my entire existence on this planet that I am aware of. So in February of 2025, I caught flu B, and it brought out a slew of stuff. I was having problems where I could not, as soon as I eat. I also have IBS. I've been diagnosed with that since I was a child. So it's like I'm following the FODMAX diet. I'm trying to incorporate my diet into healthy. Like when I say healthy, I'm doing like 80% healthy, 20% bad, trying to work my way up to 90%. But anytime I eat any complex carbs, brown rice, sweet potatoes, it will go in and it will come out. It will go in and it will come out. Heavy bloating, severe cramping, massive diarrhea. So I was going to my PCP. Also, I was waking up in the middle of the night with cold sweats. That's what brought me to the doctor, because I was like, something's wrong. Like I'm having some type of hypoglycemic issue. I was diagnosed with insulin resistance. Okay, I'm not saying that I don't have it, but I was not having the symptoms of insulin resistance. My sugar was not spiking. I was having reactive hypoglycemia. So I ended up buying an over-the-counter CGM for myself. Got started to get finger sticks. I was having like lethargic. I was passing out. I was not waking up at night. So from August of 2025 to December of 2025, I started documenting my blood sugars, my blood pressure, what I was eating. I was documenting everything because I wanted a CGM. December of 2025, I went to my doctor with all the evidence. My sugar was dropping to 53 and I was still functioning. That is not normal, people. That is not normal. That is not normal. I asked to go to an endocrinologist. Nope, that wasn't going to happen because there was no need for me to go to an endocrinologist. Okay. So here we are, 2026. Something told me to go to my GI doctor because once I changed my eating habits, after they took out the polyps, the cancerous polyps out of my colon, she told me to eat on the circumference of the store. That's when I started going to farmers market, meaning that less processed food, that the processed food could contribute to the polyps and the cancer. So I started eating very lean meats. I started getting as much as I could from the farmers market, as much as I could. That was my primary way of shopping. My meats, my vegetables, my fruits. Okay, so here I am. Now I'm having my CGM. I'm waking up in the middle of the night. The thing is alarming. I could not stabilize my sugar. As soon as I ate, my sugar dropped. As soon as I ate, my sugar dropped. I was like passing out, not physically like hitting the floor, but like doing like blackout moments. Okay, all right. So I think I had my CGM for 6 months because let's upgrade. I went to my GI doctor and I started to tell her of the symptoms. She referred me to an endocrinologist. I got into an endocrinologist 2.5 hours away from home. It's that serious for me. I don't feel okay. I was feeling sick every time that I ate. I couldn't hold food down. I was feeling terrible. My GI doctor wanted me to do the hydrogen test, which is for, she kept saying, I think you have SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. I was doing process of elimination, so this I can't tell you when I went to my GI. I'd have to look. I can't really, that time frame is a little off. So and it was months because here I am in where are we at? August of 26. Here I am, August of 26. Finally this month I got put on Xifaxan. I was following the FODMAPs. I couldn't even intake my 25 milligrams of fiber, and I was doing it naturally. I was using papaya. I was using tamarind. I was using Bosc pears. I tried to incorporate my stuff as natural as possible before I can go to a meal. And hold on, because I want to show you guys what I'm taking. I always believe somebody's story can help another. There are many people out here that's probably like, I quit on healthcare. Quitting on healthcare is quitting on you, and we need you to make healthcare better. Quitting on healthcare is quitting on you. I know, you're tired. You're tired of not being heard. You're tired of not being seen. You're tired of telling you what is and what's not. You're tired of people saying it's all in your head. I get it. I get it. I get it. But if you give up on you, who is going to fight for you? So this month I got put on Xifaxan. So here's my Xifaxan. Oh, no, that's my hexacosamine. It's in there. I got put on Xifaxan. So finally, like at my last appointment, I told her, I said, listen, I have been following the Monard FODMAPs diet. I even download the app. All the things that are low on the IBS, I couldn't even intake. I couldn't even, it was in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And I'm talking about like, I would eat 10 grams of fiber, and by the afternoon it's coming out of me, and I'm like, this isn't normal. Well, I've been on Xifaxan. I'm bad with medicine. It's supposed to be a 10-day supply. I think I got a couple of days left because I've missed a few and all of that. So it's supposed to be a 10-day supply. Within 1 week, and I'm not even going to say a full week, within 3 to 4 days of taking Xifaxan, I could finally intake my food. It felt like I could finally hold my food. And along with taking the Xifaxan, I've read that you can relapse with SIBO. And I'm not trying to relapse. I'm trying to get my gut health in order because I also have a secondary condition that I'm working out. I thought that with the malabsorption, that's what lowered my TSH and free T4. I thought that's what was causing my endocrine issues. I also thought too, that's what was causing my hypoglycemic issue. I will say that it exacerbated my hypoglycemic issue, but there is also a secondary reason of why, and I'm in the middle of that. I'm in the middle with my endocrinologist with that. So within taking the SIBO, I'm also taking this, which I heard was very good to take. I took it alongside the antibiotics. I took 2 pills in the morning and I took 2 pills at night. This also is very good for C. diff. And after the medication, I also am taking 7-day supply where I will taper down to 1 in the morning and 1 at night. Nothing is too expensive for my health. Nothing is too expensive for my life. It's one of me. And I'm going to, if people can be out there spending money on name brand, I am the only name for myself. And I hold value to myself. So I'm finally absorbing my food. I'm finally holding my food and I feel so much better. Now there's a part 2. So the malabsorption hypoglycemia was related to SIBO. I will say that it exacerbated it. Now I have a part 2. A part 2 that I'm going through is I potentially have adrenal insufficiency. So that's where we're testing. She did test my cortisol. I really thought my cortisol was going to be high. I mean, who doesn't have stress in this world? Well, I'm now realizing that my cortisol is low, borderline, like it's not tanked, but for morning cortisol, it really should be higher than what it was. So I was really shook about that. And that also too can contribute to my sugar problems. And with the TSH, it could contribute to pituitary issues. Now, I will say I was diagnosed as a late onset asthmatic. There has been a couple times in my life where I almost died of my asthma. And I took steroids like it was going out of style. Now, from what I can see, that could be a reason in why I'm having my pituitary issues, but I have to do another cortisol test. She did say if that came back low, I would have to do a stimulation test. Here's the thing. The gratitude in that is because of the duality of the cortisol, my sugar, and my low TSH, I have secondary hypothyroidism. Like my free T4 and TSH are not producing. And this was the hopes of me that it was the SIBO that was causing these issues. So I was like, once I absorbed my food, but once I realized I started to intake my food, my digestion is super, super slow. I have come to the fact to accept that there is some type of hypothyroidism issue going on. She also did a throat ultrasound of my thyroid. Here's another thing, people. Always, always, always trust yourself and get a second opinion. There was a 4.6 centimeter nodule from my ultrasound detected on my thyroid. Okay? When I read that report, I was like, there's no way. In myself, I was like, there's no way there's a lemon in my throat. There's no way. How could I not know? And how could my doctor tell me that there was a small, my PCP did diagnose me with she felt small nodules, but nothing to worry about. So get you a doctor who cares about their profession. And you will tend to know, to me, a doctor who cares about their profession and not in it for money and not in it for class and not in it for status, because they will take their time with you. They will actually listen. A doctor who is in their job for the right reasons, the number one thing that they will do is actually listen. Active listening is probably the number one thing. They may not have good bedside manner, but active listening is probably the number one thing of a good physician. How about a good person, period? In me, I wanted a second opinion. But you know what she told me when she saw the nodule? She said, we're going to have to biopsy it because it came back as a TIRAD 4. She said, we're probably going to have to biopsy, but she said, I'm going to do an ultrasound again. She did the ultrasound again. Guess what? There was no 4.6 nodule. She was like, you have nodules, but not big enough that I want to biopsy. So I didn't end up getting a biopsy. Yes, because I was nervous about getting a needle stuck in my throat. Really, really, really was. So sorry this one's so long, but I wanted to give you the details. I wanted to kind of close the gap and just not come on here and say this. The whole principle of me putting this out there is to fight for yourself. Because the SIBO, the Xifaxan, because what I feel like happened with the SIBO is when I had diverticulitis, I feel like, as my GI said, it slows my bowels down. Diverticulitis slows you down, all that inflammation. And the joy of that is a diverticulitis stay is like a 2-3 day minimum in the hospital. It was a 1 day stay for me. I don't even think I was in the hospital 24 hours. My nurse was even like, I cannot even believe you're getting out already. The thing of it is, if you take care of your body and if you listen to your body and if you give your body the rest that it does, your body will heal itself. But if you're over here just on wires, on your own adrenaline, and you're pumping your body with caffeine, stuff that overturned your body's system, because I never knew I was hypoglycemic because I was always running on fumes. That's what I say. I used to work midnights. I was always running on fumes. Lack of sleep, exhaustion, chronic exhaustion. And why I'm here today is because of someone's story. When I'm gonna say my cousin, because that's what I know her as. She died at my age today. I'm currently today 47 years old, and she left behind a 6-year-old. And I'm 47 with a type 5 autistic daughter, nonverbal. I didn't want to leave her behind. That was my wake-up call for me to take my behind, because it's been years since I got a checkup, to the damn doctor and give myself a midlife crisis checkup, give myself another baseline, because as I'm losing my hormones are fluctuating, my mind is changing. I needed a new baseline. I needed a new baseline for myself because, baby, I ain't 20 no more. So I stress, especially women in their 40s, it's like a second chance of life. Don't ignore it. I ignored, by working in healthcare, you can't just walk away. I've ignored my hunger signs that my body literally shut off communication, that I had no idea that I was hypoglycemic. When you're working on a patient, or if a patient is dying, you can't just say, okay, I'm hungry, I'm gonna go get something to eat. No, I work through it. And by the time I'm done and I come off of that, food is no longer a question in my brain. It's like, okay, we got through that. That patient's still alive. Food? What type of food? The way I've deprived my body, I've shut the signals off. But now I'm in a state of life where I'm healing, I'm meditating, I'm resting. I'm fortunate. I am fortunate. This is where I say I feel fortunate to have a second chance of life, for my body to rewire and to bring back communication to me. Because if I didn't do this, I'll tell you this. My GI doctor told me if I did not go in for the colonoscopy when I did, in 3 years, I would have been dead. That was almost 2 years ago. So this would be 2027 will be my 3rd year. I wouldn't be here making this video. So if I can say to anyone, don't give up on yourself. Keep fighting. Keep fighting. I understand. But you have to understand too, it's not the doctors. The doctors do want to save us. But when they have to fight codes and regulations put in place by insurance companies, put in place by hospital standards, the more you fight for you, the more they don't have a choice but to listen. So, to sum up part 3, SIBO, we got one diagnosis. We got one thing taken care of. Next, we need to figure out this secondary hypothyroidism and this low cortisol, which is slowing down my system. The joys of it all, through the research that I've done, I'm grateful for the simple fix that it can be, you know. So if you're out here struggling with your health and yourself, A lot of these things that I'm complaining about, struggles with the mind. Sugar is the primary source for the brain. I had a lot of fog, a brain fog. I have a lot of muscle aches. I have a lot of exhaustion. So pay attention to those. Hormones make a huge regulation in the human body. And if your hormones are off, guess what's going to be off too? Your mental.